So got Cool Keys in the building. I'm gonna kick it off. I'll edit the first part of this out. So I'm gonna start over again. Again, this is Chuck the Deuces. Representing Chicago by way of I live in Phoenix, Arizona right now, but I'm a Chicagoan all my life. But black men in America have mental health crises that don't get addressed that often. Uh, a lot of times we are not able to vent to people that are closest to us out of fear of being judged or out of fear of someone saying something that we really don't want to hear. And most of the time, that's just the truth of the matter. We don't talk about our emotions and feelings because we were taught that that's a sign of weakness and not to show our true feelings to so because we don't want to be hurt. And as I grow in this life, I realized that was the wrong information that we received. I'm not saying you should wear your heart on your sleeve and tell everybody your business, but we do need to talk about some of these past traumas and um, depression and the issues that we go through in this society as black men going through these things. We watch our brothers get murdered in the street. A lot of us got PTSD from um, the streets and the struggle and being out there hustling and things of that nature. And we never ever vent about that stuff or talk about that. We just, walk and carry that heavy load on our shoulders and still try and maintain households and relationships. And sometimes we run into issues and we don't even know what the issues are. So I let Rec, how you feel about that? And let me get your opinion on that situation.
Um, I mean, it's just I mean, I think it's more healthier to get it out, you know what I'm saying, to express things. Uh like you said, we wasn't that's not what we was brought up on, you know what I'm saying? Expressing ourselves, it definitely was a so to speak, a sign of a weakness. We was taught to suck everything up and suck everything in. And within doing that, it could kind of create a space where you feel like there's no point in saying nothing after a certain amount of time because it's gonna fall on deaf ears anyway. When it actually may not, but that's the perception you get, and you've been having it for so many years, and that alone create a lot of trauma within itself, and with us being brought up that way, we pass that down too, and it just keep creating the same cycle of everybody being holding everything in and going through the same hurt when we could share it, and we'd be surprised how many brothers relate to us actually. So I think it's healthy to get it out.
For sure, for sure. Kevin, you got I know you in the kitchen, but you got an opinion on that subject I just touched on.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the things, it just be echoing what Jim already spoke of, but just historically, as for especially our community, the Black community, um, talking about feelings and especially men, that was just something that was a faux pas. You was viewed as weak or mentally weak, things like that. So the idea of anything in any form of therapy, um, you couldn't really turn to anywhere. If you turn to the church, they just say pray it away. You try to turn to the family, they just tell you to work harder and suck it up. You turn to your brothers, you turn to your brothers, they call you gay or something like that, or some kind of something derogatory that kind of just insinuate that you just being weak. So mental health has always been a thing that we kind of shied away from. It's not until recent history that mental health has been a thing that we realize that it's something we need. Especially the Black community, I think as a whole, uh, we just need therapy as a whole. Just just the trauma that we dealt with for generations, and is new research saying that that trauma is has been written in our DNA. So just as a whole, Black people need um, therapy just from based on the trauma of our ancestors, and Black
Mhm.
men on top of that. Um, it's just extra layers of traumatic things happening that we tend to hold on. That's why we see so many of us wilding out, because we don't know how to express emotions in a healthy way, because we don't want to be gay, we don't want to be weak, we don't want to seem as uh, spiritually weak, mentally weak, physically weak. So, this we need healthy outlets to be able to express our emotions in a balanced way, not overly doing it, but as at the same time, we got to do it. We got to do it. It's too much that we deal with as men, and especially as Black men, for us to be trying to hold out an end. It's humanly impossible to be able to
Mhm.
hold it in. It's just humanly impossible.
And that's why I created this space right here. This is the space for Black men to come and feel safe that they can speak about some of these past traumas. Me myself, I've dealt with a lot of traumas in my life that I didn't even know were triggers or traumas for me. I just thought it was normal, and that's the problem that we as Black men go through in this America, in this society, is that some of the things that's toxic in our life, we think it's just normal because everybody else is doing it. We watched our fathers and our uncles go through some of these issues, and they handled it resiliently. So we just thought that that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to handle it like a man, but in reality, you actually need to vent and get some of that stuff off of your system so you can move on to the next layer that's coming to you. Um, Dion, did you have any feedback on the state of the Black man's mental health in America? Oh, well, he's having technical difficulties. So before I move on, I would just tell y'all that the current landscape in the country for Black men is the suicide rate has risen sky high. Black men are committing suicide at a higher rate than ever. Depression and anxiety is at a high rate, and we all know that a lot of us mask that behind drug and alcohol. Um, and we don't have we have access to healthcare or mental health, but we don't know how to access it. We don't know where to look for it at. We don't go get it. You know what I mean? Like if I asked you um, information for a psychiatrist, nobody can really just come up with one off the top of their head. You know what I mean? Everybody don't have that information on their fingertips. You can Google it and look it up, but it's not like if I said, where can I get the best outfit or the best pair of shoes, some of us will know immediately without even looking in our phone where to send somebody to get some clothes or to get some shoes or something of that nature. You know that off the top of your head. But if it comes to like mental health and somewhere that you should go with your problems, we can't just tell a person like, man, you should go see Dr. Fillmore or something like that. You know what I mean?
Right. So it's like this stigma we have in the Black community about therapy. It's always, oh man, why would I want to go sit down with somebody that I don't even know and tell them my problems? They ain't got no answers for me. Well, it's like when you wanna when you have an injury, they tell you go see a doctor, right? They go tell you see a specialist. When you anything other than therapy that somebody specializes in, we'll go see them because we feel like it's gonna help us because that person knows directly about what we're going to see them about. and that's how it should be with therapists. We may not know them, they may not know us, but um, they specialize in figuring out what's going on with people. They specialize in helping people. So I think we should just kind of change the way that we look at therapy. And I'm I'm speaking, about myself as well, changing the way that I look at it. I have not been to a therapist or anything like that yet, but the way I view it has changed because, like you said, it is a lot of suicides going on, and it could have just been simply a conversation they needed to have with somebody, and they had nobody to have that conversation with. So I just think we should would change the way that we view things, and maybe it'll help us. Maybe it won't help sometimes. Maybe sometimes people are too far gone, but if the point is to catch it before we become too far gone.
For sure.
I
I
know.
think
Now, go ahead, Chuck. I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say I think even if it save one life, it'll be important to us. So um, definitely we need to. I'm gonna make sure I find some information on it so that I'm able to post that and get that to as many people as possible.
I was going to say, as a person who did go through the therapeutic process and plan on going through it again, I didn't realize how much help it can be with the right therapist. I know, like finding the right therapist is like finding the right doctor or
Right.
finding the right uh, anybody that you can connect with because there's plenty of options. I got really close friends who own their own practices. My sister owned her own therapeutic practice. So I've been really close to that field because of the close relationships I have with some of the doctors and social workers just in my family. But I found it to be first. I had to arrive to the place to say, "Hey, let me try this." Right? I don't like feeling like this. I don't like thinking this way. And I don't have friends that can offer me alternative ways of thought because we all kind of think alike. Um,
Right.
so it wasn't until I went to them, it wasn't because of suicidal ideations or anything like that. I said, you know what? I just don't want to be angry about what I'm angry about anymore. And I
Right.
don't know how to not be angry about it. And I don't want to turn to alcohol, womanizing, drugs, or other behaviors to cope because I know some of my coping mechanisms wasn't seen unhealthy, but people didn't realize that was a coping mechanism. I used to go to the movies by myself. People was like, "Oh, that's such a good idea," but they didn't realize I was trying to cope with the anger that I had or cope with the frustration you know. But it wasn't until I went to therapy and started saying some of these things out loud that I
Mm-hmm.
realized, like, one, just saying it out loud helped.
Hmm. Hmm.
And getting a feedback and getting alternative paths and the practices and the exercises that my therapist was giving me to feel differently helped me realize that, hey, some of these things I can change right away. Let me get out of this situation, right? That's bringing this resentment, that's bringing this anger. I don't have to sit in this situation, even though plenty of people told me I have to sit in that situation. I realized, no, why do I have to sit in this? So therapy for a black man, Chuck, man, this is a good thing. And I'm glad you brought up the point that we need to know how to point people in the right direction, right? The church, unless they're a certified therapist, they can help, but they should be pointing you, give you some spiritual feedback, but they should be pointing you to a certified therapist, people who are trained
Mm-hmm.
to deal with these type of things and not just some life coach like a Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I ain't gonna get into that, but you know what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah, definitely agree. I definitely agree with that. And again, by the end of this, I'll have some links up for some certified therapists that specialize in our issues because let's just face it, every therapist out there has no idea what it's like to be a young black man growing up in America. So we have to have somebody that can relate to the issues that we go through in order to discuss those with us, so that they, able to talk us off the ledge, or just help us cope with it or get to the next level. A lot of times, untreated mental health can result in uh, heart heart disease, high blood pressure. You spaz out on your family, poor job performance, you financial instability. Uh, we out there committing suicide again, and community violence. So a lot of times these young generations, these children are so angry, man. They are mad at the world, and they don't have nobody to talk to or nobody to help them through their situations. So they just get up with the gang and go out and bang. You know what I mean? So a lot of the violence in our neighborhood, it is a mental health crisis. And I know a lot of people don't see it like that because they just think somebody out there shooting a gun off. But you don't know what was going on inside of that person's mind for them to go out there and kill 5 or 6 people and have no remorse for it.
Hmm. Yeah, man.
So it's a lot of deep. It's a lot deeper than what people on the outside looking in see. They only judge us off of what they see on the news, but they have no idea what really goes on in our communities and our households and things of that nature. So I just wanted to shed some light on the subject so that people can have an understanding, and also that we can get the necessary help that we need as young black men out here in America.
But we do need the help.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
And it's got to
But
be like a collective effort, sometimes, we got groups of black men that the help only goes so far. The extension of the hand only goes so far. They only well, I help my people, but that's all they're gonna help. And I feel
yeah,
like it should be more of a collective effort. Like, oh, it was my brother, so I'm gonna look out for him. But you on yours, y'all on y'all own. You know what I'm saying? We all suffering the same traumas. Severity of it may be different for others, but it's the same trauma. If you're a black man, if you haven't yet, at some point in your life, you're gonna face what the world has to offer for you, and it's not very welcome.
no, that's a fact. And sometimes we gotta stop normalizing some of these things that we go through or we see in our communities. Like every last one of us has probably grown up with someone that has some mental health issues, or we just call them crazy. We just say, "Oh, they crazy. That nigga crazy. That shorty crazy." You know what I'm saying? And we'll just blow it off, or say they slow, call them out their name, and talk, laugh, and joke about it. And then they grow up and become adults, and they still have these issues that never been addressed. And then we wondering why they do this or why they do that. But we never touched on the issues when they were younger that we could have helped them, and even still to this day when they going through these things, we don't offer the help. And then again, at the same time, we don't even know how to help because, like I said, we normalize crazy. We normalize, oh, he's slow, or how he remedial or something of that nature. We just blow it off as oh, they not they dumb or something like that. But that's not the problem. The problem is they mental state and the issues or traumas that never got addressed in their life.
All right, we as a community too, we even glorify like people like a King Von. He was a terrorist to the community, right? And we glorify like, oh, he was King Gangbanger and these people, and our other little kids look up to that and say, okay, I want to be like him because we put them all on TV and we say, okay, this is okay behavior. and it's normal for us. You know, it's normal for us for men to be doing the certain things that they doing, which is a whole little thing background between that, that other communities pump into our communities to make us believe that it's normal for us, but it's not normal. But at the same time, it's going to take us men one step at a time to be able to say no, that is wrong. That is abnormal behavior that need help. Them folks need help. So why are we glorifying it and say, oh yeah, he was tough? No, that's
Yeah,
not tough. That's broken.
yeah,
Right? That's broken behavior. That ain't tough. That's not what we want to strive to be, you know? And that's something as a community, as black people, have to change that narrative and not say that's okay. That ain't okay. It's not okay.
Mhm.
You know?
that's a fact.
You know,
That's a
it's
big
it's
fact.
it's easy. It's easy. It's easy. I think a lot of people just touch stand on the King Von subject real quick. It's that's kind of like a easy route to go down, you know, because we we say, oh, we didn't, you know, this is our environment, this is our community, you know, we don't have a choice. It was gonna end up like this anyway, or you know, I didn't. All I knew was the streets, or you know, I was born into this, or something like that. That's easy. You know what I'm saying? That's the easy route to go, and it's looked at as that's the harder route to go. When really that's the easy route to go. It's harder to have self discipline. It's harder to work on yourself. It's harder to choose to go a better route. You know, that's what's really the hard thing to do, and that take a lot of it take a lot of it take a lot of spiritual work. You know, you gotta dig real deep because it's temptation everywhere. Temptation of women, temptation of the streets, temptation to get some quick money. It's all around us. You know, it's all we see. It's on TV. They pump it into communities. It's in the music. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So you know, that's easy. That's the easy grab. It's harder to stay focused and try to be a better man, especially a black man.
Definitely, definitely, and we got to start teaching our younger generations that sometimes going a long route is the best case scenario for you. Um, just because it's fast and easy doesn't mean it's good for you. You know what I mean? The streets don't got no love for nobody. You know what I mean? So if you
That's
think
what Chuck, but it's a I got a favorite line. DMX said it best. You can going nowhere fast. You know, you can go nowhere real fast.
yeah, that's a fact. It's a lot of brothers locked up in them penitentiaries that would agree with that.
Yeah.
And they may not ever see a day of life again because they made a decision based on some emotions or some some mental issues that they were dealing with and they didn't know how to handle them. So we trying to keep that part from this next generation coming up. We don't want uh, millions of more of our people in chains and bondage. You know what I mean? Over the mentality. You know what I'm saying? I can see if somebody do something to you or do something to your family, but if it's just your mentality that got you in there, that can be fixed. That can be changed. We can make a way. It can be. It's hope for that. But I know I'm not gonna tell a man not to defend his life or his family's life. I'm not never gonna tell you that. But what I will tell you is a split second decision can cost you a lifetime of pain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And yeah, so some of my traumas that I endured, especially in my earlier years, is I really believed in pimping. I really thought pimping was, righteous. I thought the pimps was out there handling their business. You couldn't tell me that the bishop wasn't a man in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? The man owned the church. The man owned the game room. He rode around in a nice, clean, green and gold Cadillac every day. You know, he had women flocking at him. He had jewelry and chains, and he's fresh every day. So in our eyes, in our neighborhood, we wanted to be like the bishop. We wanted to, get us a group and put them out there and bring that bag back, and that had me in and out of different relationships, thinking that this was the way, and that's one of the stigmas that I can look back on my life and be like, man, that was terrible.
Mm.
It was terrible, but you know, those things, those myths in our communities are strong to our young black men, and when they get a hold of something like a King Von, then they want to run with that narrative and think that's the way it should be. But if don't nobody come in their life and try and steer them out of that, that's what it's gonna be.
And we always find out too late. By the time we find out, it's too late. It's always too late. Whether it be death or prison or whatever, it's always too late. You know,
Yeah, yeah, we definitely got to
this
rise
is
above this, though.
yeah, man. It's just touching on what I said earlier. You know, you just gotta catch it. You gotta catch it earlier rather than later, because you know, once you're too far gone, it's you still can be helped, but it's you know built up this mental state for so long within your life. It's a habit that's very, very hard to break. Um, even if you're trying to change for the better, and things are not changing for the better as quickly as you would like to, because you could sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna make this change, but and then it kind of boiled down to money too, because I done seen brothers try to make a change, but they felt like it wasn't no money in the change, so they rather have the money rather than the change or the spiritual awakening or what may have it. They rather have the money.
Yeah, and change take time. Change take time. You think that you're gonna change something overnight, you're delusional. You can change it in your mindset overnight, but you got to put the work in to make it happen in reality.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I apologize for eating on camera, but if I don't eat now, I won't I won't eat. But um just speaking on change, it's just sad that the impetus for change have to be something traumatic happening to us.
Hmm.
You know, either we get stripped down, somebody dying, near death experiences, um, bad breakups,
Hmm.
something to get us to change. Um, it's unfortunate because, and then when we do seek change, we don't know what to change to.
Hmm.
We don't have models or we don't have a blueprint, you
Hmm.
know, or a roadmap to follow to know what to change. So we just lean on what we think we know. You know, some of us run to the church, some of us run to, other people, um, run to our moms, or dads or things. We don't know what direction, when all the while a lot of what we need is in us. We just have to unpack it to get it. And that's what that therapy come in, unpacking and getting to what change looked like for us. Usually we just try to become something we've seen, but what we really trying to become is already in seed form on the inside of us. And that unpacking through therapy help us get there. Because we got to know
Yeah,
ourselves in order to
definitely.
change.
Now that you mentioned that, one of the things that's been hard for us all, and Subi touched on it last week, is when he was saying that he can't cry. We talked about that subject about men not being able to cry, and I looked at it and I thought about it the other day, and I've never seen the men in my family, especially like my pops and my uncles and my older cousins. I've never seen them guys cry. You know what I mean? So that's another part of the trauma or the you know the things that was passed down to me that I can honestly say like I have a hard time with expressing my emotions and crying and things of that nature because I don't know how to do it. I didn't see men in my life didn't cry as I was growing up. They just didn't do it. And if they did, I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not able to like just be vulnerable in the middle of a room full of people because it's something that I never learned how to do. I just don't know how to do it and never had examples of people doing
Yeah, man, that's another stigma. You know, in the black community, we often uh, we often categorize as a weakness. You know, crying. Oh, what you crying for, man? Suck it up, man. Nobody want to hear all that. You know, and in reality, it's really like you were saying, it's getting some of that trauma out the way. And like Kev was saying, you know, that's it's unpacking a lot of that trauma, whether through therapy or not. You know, I feel like it's a form of therapy within itself. Um, you gotta cry, you gotta get it out the way. You gotta get it out the way. You know, because holding it in is just unhealthy. You know, it's just unhealthy. It could change, literally change the DNA within our body. Just holding stuff in like that. So it's it's important to have that outlet. Um, you know, just it's a release. You know, uh, whatever
it.
it is, it's a release.
Definitely, I think that's a part of being what they would
What they would
categorize as
categorize.
emotional intelligence. You know, knowing when to tap into certain emotions and when not to tap into those emotions. That's something that has to be taught. It's like a training that you need to go through to kind of learn how to, you know, turn certain feelings on and off, which the body does it naturally anyway. You know, when you see something that you don't like, you get mad. You see something that you do like, you get happy. It's just that simple. If something saddens you and you have emotional feelings about it, you should be able to cry without being judged or feeling like, oh, you weak because you're crying and you hurt. You know what I mean? We just had some traumatic issues go on in our life that hurt us. It hurt all of us. You know what I mean? Losing our our one and only queen has hurt us all. You know, and we all express it differently. You know, but you know we should be able to unpack that stuff without feeling like somebody's gonna call us weak or be judgmental about how we feeling when they already know we hurt.
Right,
We just took a
right.
big L.
Yeah, and, you know, we all deal with things differently, but I think it's just the important part is just to let each other know that we are here. There's no need to feel like you're alone. We are here, even if it's just to listen. You know, sometimes that's all we need is just somebody to listen, not necessarily respond. You know, just somebody to listen and just try to understand. You know.
Definitely. I'm always here to listen. I got a few calls this week, and over the weekend about some things that some brothers was going through, and I was the shoulder that they could just vent to. Didn't have to, really say much to them. Just gave them a shoulder and an ear, and sometimes that's all it take a brother to get something off his chest. He just want to be heard, And a lot of times we out here talking and having discussions, and people are listening to us but we're not being heard.
Hmm. Hmm. They listening and waiting for an exit in the conversation
Right.
rather than listening and trying to really understand and provide some type of constructive
Health.
feedback.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jim, because a lot of the other thing that's part of our trauma um, is one listening, being available, making each other listen, like quality listening, and holding each other accountable.
Mm,
You know, it just being able to hold each other accountable will probably cut out some of the need for therapy, because that's one of the things the therapist will have you do. Right. I don't know no quality therapist that won't have you to be held accountable for the things that you can't control. Right. Just being accountable for some of the outcomes in your life. If you know your brother, your cousin, your uncle, or somebody is just tripping, we need to be able to tell them, like, nah, brother, I hear what you're saying about her. I hear what you're saying about your boss. I hear what you're saying about your job or this and that, but you tripping, right? Because you won't be in that situation if it hadn't been for some of the decisions you make. Now, I love you. I support you. Let's work together to get out of this situation. But let's also do the work to not to ever be in this situation again. Because how many crazy baby mamas you gonna have? How
mm,
many crazy bosses you gonna have?
mm.
How many bad jobs you gonna have? How many why you think your wife only get on your nerve, you don't get on hers? You know,
Right.
or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everywhere you go, you have a conflict, you know. Every
Yeah.
restaurant is bad. Everybody you meet you have to fight with. Traffic always have you cussing and fussing. You know, some of the things we gotta just hold our brothers, if we really love them. You know, we just can't be bobbleheads and just agree with everything they say. You know, who want them kind of friends? You're not my friend if you're gonna let me walk into destruction, you know,
Right.
and let me do it willingly. Like if you really my friend, you know, the Bible says iron sharpens iron. If you really gonna sharpen me, that means if you're gonna sharpen me, that means you have to cause friction. That means you have to rub me the wrong way a little bit in order for me to get better, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
sharpening is, right? That means you have to cut away the things that don't belong there if you want me to be sharp, right? So we gotta, you know, part of that brotherhood, part of that therapy is holding each other. I'm gonna listen to you. I hear you. I feel you. I understand your emotions. I sympathize with your emotions, and I understand why you're upset. However, this situation was avoidable, could have been avoided if you had a X, Y, and Z. You know, same thing when even with finances. Like my dad had to have that conversation with me, and I had to have that conversation with other people in my life. Like, hey, I'm here to help you, but guess what? The best help right now, I'm not gonna bail you out because you keep putting yourself in the same situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just not being smart financially, right?
Yeah.
My dad had to say the same thing to me. Now I understand, of course, we all have issues. We all gonna have it, and we all gotta help each other. That's absolutely, it's unavoidable, right? Especially as a community, we need to help dig each other out. Some of the holes that we are in. But the thing is, once we dig out, let's not dig ourselves in another hole. So what kind of decisions can we make differently? And I gotta hold you accountable. Guess what? You ain't gotta always, like I tell my son, you ain't always got to have it right now. Get it later. You
Yeah.
know, get it later. Save your money. You ain't got to look fly right now. Okay, the girls going to look at you crazy. You in high school. But guess what? When you 25, they going to be looking at you differently when you pulling up in that gas station in a BMW or Mercedes or something foreign, because you learn how to delay your gratification and play the long game, play chess instead of checkers. You know, it's just some of those things we need to just, you know what I mean? Hold each
Yeah.
other accountable. You see your
Yeah.
brother got a wife, say something to him, man. You don't need to be messing with that girl, man. Come on, man. Like, what we
Yeah.
really doing?
And I'm glad you got to that point because that's the part about holding each other accountable that I wanted to touch on right there is holding each other accountable is a two-lane street. Like you can't really hold somebody accountable if they're not listening to you. You can't hold them accountable if they don't agree to be accountable. Like we have to be men and be able to say, I'm gonna stand on this or I'm gonna stand on that. And then you can hold me accountable once I say I'm willing to stand on it. Like the bond that we have with each other, you know what I'm saying? I can take constructive criticism. You know what I mean? I can hear you out and still feel like I'm being heard at the same time. But if we don't, we got to be willing to take that accountability and be able to apply it in our life, because I can hold you accountable and I can tell you to do this, but once you leave out of my face, I can't, I'm not there. So I can't keep on telling you like, man, do this, man, do this, man, do this, man, do this over and over again. If I tell you to do something, or I say, man, this is what you need to do, and then we come up with a game plan with each other, and then I'm not there with you, you have to be the man to hold yourself accountable.
Hmm. And I think it start with self first. Be well long before anybody could, you know, hold you accountable. You got to be willing to do it for yourself first. And by that, because a lot of times, people are just um looking for somebody to agree with the ways they have, or like somebody, they might complain to you about a job, like, man, this job, man, they ain't paying me enough money, or whatever, and they looking for you to agree with them, like, yeah, man, go ahead, leave. You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, is are they are you able to take care of things that you need to take care of? You know what I'm saying? So
If you leave that
that
job,
right, it may be true. It may be true. You're getting vastly underpaid, but um, you know, it, but you're just looking for the confirmation because you want to quit anyway. You just looking for somebody, yeah, just go ahead and quit. But it start with ourselves. It start with us holding ourselves accountable. At the end, that way, when somebody else hold us accountable, we won't be so offended, or won't take offense to it and be like, oh, what, dang, you're not really hearing me, because you won't do the work on yourself. You haven't done the work on yourself to realize that you are where you are because of a choice that you made. It starts with you. Everything started with you anyway.
that's a fact.
And but if we do the work on ourselves, it's just more so a confirmation of, I knew I needed to do this, and you just, it's not that you reminded me I need to do this. You confirming this is what I need to do, and I thank you for confirming that for me, because I knew that's what I need to do, and I may have let it fall to the wayside a little bit, but now that you just brought it back up, you're 100% right, and and that's the way I need to move. So just, if you look at it like that, I know that's how I try to look at things, because I'm never somebody that's gonna say I'm never wrong. Everybody's wrong, nobody's always right. You know, and there's no one person that has all the solutions.
That's a fact. Yeah. And nobody's always wrong either, Nobody's always right, nobody's always wrong.
Yeah.
But you have to have the ability to accept when you wrong, and understand that, it can be corrected, and the person that you're dealing with or talking to, you know, they got to be able to hold you accountable, and you got to be receptive to someone holding you accountable. And that's the
Hmm.
issue that a lot of us have, is like, yeah, we could say what we want to say we're gonna do this, say we're gonna do that, and then somebody try and hold us accountable, and we'll say yes to this and yes to that, and then the minute they're not in eyesight, you going back to doing what you was doing at first. So you got to be receptive to being held accountable before someone can hold you accountable.
Hmm.
What up, Meaty Bone?
What's
Welcome to the
going on,
show.
fella? What's happening?
Me, what's up, man?
We pretty much were just talking about the state of men's mental
What we
health
talking about
here
here?
in America, and some of the past traumas that we go through that we never get to unpack. We have a lot of childhood stress and things that we never really shared with anyone else, because we fear of judgment or being called weak and things of that nature. And I was just telling them how growing up with my pops and my uncles and things of that nature, that I've never seen damn one of them niggas cry.
Nope, you're right. Not even at a funeral.
Not, they lost their parents, they lost their siblings, I've yet to see one of them drop tears. Not to say that they never cried, they probably did. They just didn't do it in front of us, and that's the problem that I think that has been passed down to us is that we don't want to let people see us cry because they ain't never let nobody let us see them cry. So we trying to be men. So we walking in the light of the men that came before us.
Hmm.
Chuck, Chuck, if I can just take about 15 seconds, 30 seconds, I want to defend them a little bit because you're right. I'm 100% believe we don't see them cry. That generation, that silent generation, we don't see them cry. But just on their defense, they don't been through so much trauma that
Mm-hmm.
it's possible that they just ran out of tears. They grew up in an era where they couldn't drive at night. They had to get in the house before sundown. They grew up in an era if they looked at the wrong woman, if they even walked on the same side of the street of the wrong woman, of the wrong hue, right? Wrong skin tone. They grew up in an era of Jim Crow, right? They couldn't sit at the counters. So they been through so much that they couldn't give society the satisfaction of them crying. They couldn't give them that satisfaction because they just gonna keep on doing it, right? Just like when a bully see you cry, he just gonna keep on bullying you. So they couldn't give them that satisfaction of let them see them cry. I just think about Denzel Washington in that movie Glory when he was getting whipped. You ain't see him scream, just a tear just rolled down his eye. He didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing him in pain, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
that would have brought joy to them. So just defending them a little bit, but it just progresses the pain. They just push the pain forward to the next generation. So now we don't know how to deal with those same type of traumas. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to express it in a healthy way because they couldn't express it in a healthy way, you know and their parents couldn't express it in a healthy way because that was a normal part of life to be traumatized.
I
Hmm.
It
totally
wasn't
feel
it
you.
wasn't real.
I totally
Go
feel
ahead,
you on
me.
that. Cause like even at my mother's funeral, I didn't cry for days after my mother's funeral. I didn't cry at all for days. And I would got in a private in the private space. I had my cousins with me, and they allowed me to be able to break down in the private space. But I had to be strong for my sisters and my kids. I couldn't pour out like that. You know what I'm saying? I had to look like a pillar. I was a pillar for the family at the time. So I had to hold that, and it took me days. And then, especially after my father passed, I can't find myself crying at a funeral no more. It just never happened. I love everybody I lost, just not enough to cry, but I haven't been able to. It's like I
Hmm.
got numb to it a little bit. And that's actually dangerous.
Yeah, that's scary right there, man. It's scary that we get numb to stuff like that, man. That's scary.
That's. I mean,
Losing the
that's
ability to feel is is
yeah,
dangerous, man.
definitely yeah. That's what I was saying though. Like what Kevin was saying was like they had a reason. They had a valid reason why we never seen them cry, which I can
Hmm.
totally understand that. But that still passed down unhealthiness to us. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
still why can't we be in that space where all of us together and have something that happened in our life that we can come together and we can talk about it and cry amongst each other and then go back out there to the world and show them the strength. We need a space to be vulnerable in, and that's what this space is for. That's what this podcast has been created for, a place to be vulnerable. And I ain't talking about you just coming in here talking about how you feeling and your feelings and everything. I'm talking about
nah,
a place where you can have some real conversation and talk about these real issues that a lot of men that you know going to listen to this and going to be like, damn, I never even thought about it that way. You know what I'm saying?
definitely.
Yes,
But yeah, man, you gotta. Once you, the crazy thing is, once you get that shit out, when you get them tears out, man, you feel like you done delivered, got a load off your back, man. For real.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. It's a release, man. It's a release.
It
I
kill a
could
whole,
definitely say
you release a lot of
I
stress.
witnessed Meats get it off his chest before. I definitely can say um, been able to be vulnerable and cry amongst his brothers because we ain't gonna judge you. We already know what it feels like because we took the same loss you took.
It was definitely needed. But everybody need to come to a space to be able to, sort themselves out at. It's definitely
Especially
So
needed.
another,
someone healthy and somebody that's speaking life into you and not just pouring it out on Facebook and other
Right,
social
right.
media outlets. And Facebook is not a therapist, right? Right? It's not therapy, right?
no,
we
ain't
need we
shit come
need
up
a
out of
healthy space, one, to know that it's a community of black men, um intelligent black men out here saying that it's okay to have feelings, right?
Hmm.
Every human has feelings, male or female or child or adult have feelings. We just have to know how to help express those feelings in a healthy way, right? And then we
Yeah,
have to identify what's healthy for that feeling. Crying when you hurt is healthy. That's normal.
yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, being getting hurt from a loss is a normal thing.
That's a
It's,
fact.
it's human.
Yeah.
It's a human.
Yeah.
And
And
that's why when
feelings,
you raise your kids, you got to raise your kids to be comfortable with talking to you about what's
yeah,
going on with them,
Hmm.
and they ain't hide nothing that could be detrimental to them. You can actually help them out of those situations if they comfortable talking to you
and,
instead of a
and
stranger.
not to cut you off, me, but feelings are temporary. So the problem is sometimes people be in their feelings at the wrong time for the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be angry because someone at your house made you mad and then you go to work and you still mad. You got to learn how to move past those feelings at that time. You can't use all your emotions and feelings for every other situation. And that's the problem with our community. We got a lot of women out here with these attitudes that walk around mad at the world because somebody did something wrong to them, you know, but it's not the people that's right there in front of them, but they take it out on them. And now we got an argument going back and forth, a fight here and there, you know, so feelings are temporary. You're not happy all the time. You're not sad all the time. You're not mad all the time. You have to learn how to use those feelings for the moment that whatever situation it is, and then move on to another feeling because you can't harbor on your feelings. And as men, we definitely cannot let our feelings dictate our pace or move off of just how we feel. You can't
You're
just
right.
be like, oh, well, I feel like I don't want to go to work, and then you don't go to work, and now the lights cut off.
That's right. That's right. You make a bad decision every time when you move off your feeling like that. There ain't nothing but a bad decision coming right behind it.
Yeah. So I've always told my brothers and my people to take them feelings and tuck them in your back pocket. But for this particular show, I want us to be able to come in and we can put it in the chat. You can text me or call me or we can all get together somewhere and we can talk about whatever you're going through with no judgment. You know what I'm saying? But as far as moving off your feelings, I don't advise that for anybody to just make decisions based off how you feel. I think you should take a logical observation of what you're trying to do and then make a logical decision on how you move forward and not just because you feel like it.
That's right.
Fellas, I'm gonna tap in with Jace real quick and I'm gonna see if it's game over.
All right, tell nephew I said what's up and congratulations if he finally got that victory.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna try to jump back on. I'm gonna see what's going on.
All
All
right, for
right,
sure.
cuz.
All right, cuz.
I don't know what happened to the co-host Suviano. He's supposed to have been here, and he might got some technical difficulties or something else going on. But we'll check in with
Yeah,
him
wasn't
later.
Dion on
Also,
too?
Dion was having real bad technical issues. He couldn't get his phone to work right or mic to work right or whatever. And Tim was supposed to be here. I had E here, but a lot of these guys didn't show up this time, which is it's all right. It's just episode two, built for greatness. I'll be coming back next Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. It's gonna be 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Phoenix. But I'm gonna come back. We're gonna talk about next week. We're gonna talk about men and relationships and dealing with women and the stigmas behind some of that stuff that we've been taught and been through, and we gonna give everybody like 2 minutes to comment, on the subject that we bring up and discuss, and we're gonna put it all out there. So if you feel like it's not um, safe for you to come in here and talk your shit, then don't get on the mic and uh, get yourself in trouble at home. That's all I'm saying.
I ain't got that
Yeah,
problem.
man. I got that problem. I'm married to a cook. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna sit that one out. I'm just gonna listen.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that either. Ain't nothing
I ain't
wrong
about
with
to
that
have the
either.
whole family. I ain't gonna have the whole family knocking on my door.
Like I said, some brothers can't make decisions based off feelings alone.
Come on, man. I'm about to stay. I gotta stay safe.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. By any means
Nah, nah,
necessary.
nah. She a good woman. I ain't got nothing bad to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I know my wife gonna have something to say, but it's just a part of life. I'm used to it. I'm not gonna shy away from it. I've always been the one to tuck my head and run into the conflict like an idiot. So I'll definitely be doing that next week when we get to talking about our relationships and men dealing with women. Oh, that's gonna be a tough subject.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting.
But we're not gonna hold no punches. I don't want no filters on here. We're gonna let them flags fly. Give your opinion, honest on how you feel, and we'll deal with it then. So that's just what type of show this gonna be, and we're gonna keep it rolling.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what's happening.
I'm. If I got anything to say that would add to the value of the group, I'm definitely gonna say it. I ain't gonna hold no nothing in.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some links posted up here so that I can put them in the when I drop this live on YouTube. I want to be able to have um, results for people to click on links to get some help with mental issues. If you have any thing you need to get off your chest, someone that's going to listen to you. Of course, you can always go to your local church, your community leaders, your family, and y'all can have these group discussions to discuss some of that stuff because we got a lot of stuff in our backgrounds that we don't talk about, but we need to.
Church. You see.